Good morning, class. Welcome to Homeroom with Unk and Market Monk. Morning, P. How was your week?
Pretty solid overall. Just did really well on the crypto stuff. Some of that took some maintenance, but got the move. 72 was the spot. So any surge toward that, a lot of the stocks certainly followed, and oil like it sort of feels a little bit like silver did, where you have the really great entry, and the day to day volatility isn't getting close to to touching where you were, but you're still taking some off the table, and trying to look in the flow for when the geopolitics calm down. Kind of what are we looking at? What's the new reality? I would probably say it's going to hang around in the 80s for quite a while, but yeah. So just a lot of that. A lot of good flow reads, kicking up for the fall, like late summer, fall. So a lot of things need some time, some sectors. I'm kind of waiting on as well, but overall pretty solid.
Nice. I mean, it wasn't great over here. In general, didn't really have the too much upward momentum in the overall account to kind of balance out the short term account, so to speak. But I mean, right now sizing's kind of saving me. Um, yeah, not a huge deal if you get 100 shares and it goes down a buck. Big difference if
Yeah,
it's 1,000 shares. That's a two-way street, though. Obviously, the moves the other way. You take some free out instead of keeping 100, 200 shares. You're only keeping 10 or 20. But the game's playable that way, so no excuses out there, people. 2-day news moves. That's the note. Just kind of notice that anything with news, it's not just the first hour. Um, you can kind of see it, catch that secondary move, so to speak. And if there's
yeah,
enough range there, those are the best places to be. Outside of some of the stuff with can't hide reads. That's under $3. Jibo Alto would be two for me that I've probably done the best percentage wise, um, over the last 3 or 4 weeks. So just a weird market. I'm sure we'll get into the conditions of it here, but yeah, and it's slow as fuck out there. So for me, I like to use a shitty unk analogy. When I'm river rafting, I like it to be moving a little bit. I don't like it to be stagnant water where I got to paddle. And that's just where we
yeah.
are. That's just where we are right now, on most things.
Yes, and the don't chase puts thing, still very relevant. And when you're talking about the market being stagnant, a lot of traders will get impatient, and it's like, well, screw it. I'm just gonna go play the downside now. But not recognizing that that doesn't really work that well either. And I mean, one reason is that the bulk of the move down most days happens overnight. You don't really know which day that's gonna happen, and you also cannot just straddle spy close to the money on both sides, because you're just gonna lose money overnight to theta decay anyway. So you're scratching and clawing for a $20 gain on a $400 option position, and that's just not a way to live overall, I don't think. And so so there's a lot of struggles in these conditions for people like that, and especially people, they see oil on the move, so they're gonna jump to oil and jump to a new sector. I think that when you see the sector rotations for us, and we kind of rotate with it, there's a more structured, longer term idea there than, oh, this sector's moving. I'm going to hop in. Oil was that was a long time ago where I started talking about that, and we had levels and entries and all of that. So I just think that it's really very very tough conditions for amateurs, and I think for even experienced people, sizing down is really the kind of the way to go right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, when I started the 4 to 6 weeks here, people, I mean, that was the first sign, and your all your stuff was saying a lot of downside. Um,
Yeah.
for me, knowing the that we're kind of stuck here, that there isn't this like big push to go anywhere. The next thing is, all right, what are we going to do while we're here? And the volume's just not there for me. Just on any plays, it's algo trading, so to speak. Um, they really control the price. To it, not through it, would be, I guess, the most positive thing I could say about
Yeah.
the volume, what it does to the price action. So knowing those two things, like I'm not an idiot. Like I know what they want to do, and for me they're looking for sellers. I've kind of figured that part out. They're looking for sellers, and
Yeah.
how you do that is you got to create some urgency or some panic, and pulling the market back pre-market. I mean, if you look at a lot of the shares, like especially on some of the shitty smalls, but even on the bigger stuff, you'll have like a 7% down move, and there's like maybe 1% of the volume on the total day is going to be traded. So it's just them trying to create some sort of urgency for me to find sellers, because currently there isn't any sellers. And if you
Yeah.
talk to people, especially people with money, they'll tell you, it is what it is. I'm in a good spot. I'm gonna ride it out. They just don't really care, and they've now kind of been not accustomed, but they've had a punch or two both ways. I mean, they had to deal with last April. They had to deal with 22. So and a little pullback to them. They've seen it before. And what we're if you look at the zoom out on SPY, even on the 3 year here, uh, we ain't even touched what April was. So is it possible? Sure, but you look on the up in the upper right corner, that 663 or 660 number I pulled out my ass about 8 months ago. Definitely in play. So um, market needs a reason, but we really don't have one, and it's getting crushed day to day because of inactivity. Um, it's just like a grocery store, P. Like if you're not buying it for 199, it's gonna be 149, and then they're gonna have that little
Yeah.
red or yellow sticker on her saying it's 99 cents. Just get it out of my fucking store. And I mean, that's kind of where we are. And we identified it was going to be a 4 to 6 week process. Um, so I hope most people prepared for that.
Yeah. And there's options. A lot of the kick the can down the road. It's a it's a unique administration that is. I mean, I still think they prioritize bonds
Way too
the
much.
most, but
Yeah.
but they care about the market. Trump definitely does, and so there's going to be. I mean, this is where as a swing trader, like you see like market direction for a while, but it's still very hard to swing the downside just because you get those um, those news pumps and developments, and I mean even in oil, just someone from the Department of Energy tweets out that we escorted this ship through the strait, and then oil spikes or oil drops, market spikes, and then it ends up it wasn't even a real story anyway. They blame some intern, you know, whatever, and then then it goes right back. So that's some rough volatility. There's a lot of uh, things happening in with the Greeks on options that you're going to see a lot of people say, well, what the hell, this stock is down, but my puts didn't go up. And there's a lot of goofy stuff like that. There's screw ups in the order books. There's glitches and charting and just all kinds of shit that happens when whales are looking to reposition in some way. So yeah, I think the repositioning for the downside definitely, could be. I mean, when I look at, I'll just give one example of, I don't know, Workday or Salesforce, and I'll just see it's down 4%, and there's no news at all. Like they're just, it gave up my pivot, and it's just like just going down, kind of like what Enphase did. So you got to wait a while for some of these things to bottom out. I mean, if you're bored, there's companies you like, buy a share here, share there, but I don't think you should be going into every day with the same dollar goal in mind. I'm going to make $200 today. I'm going to make $500 today. There are times when the conditions just aren't there for that. And even if you're trying to do it in options, you're jumping back and forth calls and puts. End of the day, you break even or worse if you're doing that.
Yeah, it's one thing I like about our room. It gets quiet sometimes, but I mean, we're not just gonna hype you up to do something fucking stupid, um,
Yeah,
so to speak. And I mean, last week it was pretty quiet most of the days, but I mean, if I don't see anything, I'm not gonna post anything. You can tell by when people ask for charts where I'm at, though. I mean, I don't carry a laptop around with me or anything. So I mean, you got to stay in the fishing hole. I'm a firm believer in that. Like, don't change your system. Don't take a day off because it's bad. But you can change your sizing. I'm gonna keep pounding that table because that helps
yeah,
me. That helps me the most. You can change your sizing. You can change, um, like I don't know how else to say it, but like not how you trade, but if you trade normally by buying one or not buying one but buying five in the sector. Really being diligent about the plays you buy versus trying to get that blanket coverage right now, which I think we did identify that also a few weeks ago. Stuff like that. I mean, that's how you pivot for me. And I hate saying wait it out, but you just wait till it's better, or wait till the opportunity, the setup arises in front of you. And I mean, if you want to take the positive angle at it, or the hype angle at it. I mean, definitely said it last 2 weeks in the room. Mention it here, but the collabs are the most actionable because they
yes,
they come in, and you do get the right opportunity or setup in a chart, and maybe with a little substance behind it, in the news or FUD angle. You get something good behind it, or just that perception. Um, that the sector's going to do good, and this is the one. So, yeah, I mean, it's different. It's a little. I mean, I don't know what analogy you can use here, but it's like trying to grow strawberries in the winter or something. You're just going to get a little less fruit. You gotta wait till the summer when it's sunny, and um,
yeah,
we've been through. I mean, I can't think of how many times we've been through it. And this one ain't even bad, and it's really like there's not a lot of fake out in it, right? There's some free money flow going on. I definitely am mindful of that, and it's like what I'm trying to sniff out because I'd rather protect money than make money. So finding that free money flow from my end to your end is kind of what I've been looking for. But there's plenty out there. Um, if again, if you're not greedy.
yes, yeah. I think, and that's a big key. But and just the ones that are good are not going to wait till Sunday. I mean,
Yeah.
especially if I was still posting
Well, like Himenex, right?
large options on something.
Himenex came back around. Like, ain't no
Yeah,
wait.
yeah. I mean, it's go ahead and start off, just go full stuff, but um, if you want shares and you get some of these reads like we've had, then I think you hop back in. I mean, especially if it's a familiar name on the new names, and this is definitely happening. And if you've been in the room a long time, a lot of our household names were once new names, right? I mean, they all were. So
Oh
there's
yeah.
a process there, and flow is almost always going to be really early on that new stuff, and it's and there's usually like one trade there, and then by the time it comes back around and you like it, there's a bigger thing happening. And so I think just yeah, I would say there's two things happening in collabs. One is the actionable stuff that drops early in the week. You can get a trade that week, but make note of some of the new names. And when I post them, I'm aware that you might not like it your end, right now. But I just think that it's like whales are they're getting started. They're putting up some scaffolding around this setup, and they're gonna hang around, and they'll absorb whatever's going on short term. But then this newish oil company that's trading for $3 and has flow at 5, 7, and 12. There's going to probably be something there. So so keep track of those, and search the group. If you see something's never been talked about before, it is probably going to come back around.
Yeah, I mean that's 90% of my list at this point is time and stuff that's went through that exact process. So, I mean,
Yeah.
Alto, some hand sanitizer company, or special
Oh yeah.
ingredient
Yeah.
company that switched to a hand sanitizer
Right.
company that switched back to a specialty ingredients company. I mean, yeah, you just kind of you figure it out. Shit, probably Neo and XPev here real soon. I'll drop some names. Um, I mean that those are yeah been around the block. I remember introducing you to a lot of the EV names. Um, but I mean the last two or three times we played XPev, it's been off of your reads. So I mean just how it works around here. One thing, it's not a pissing contest between me and you. It never really has, but um, we don't care who scores the goddamn basket as long as we're leading at the end of the game.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, right. And I mean when we do the report cards, um, there's two fundamentally different things happening there. I mean, when I do the sector focus, I'm not really, aiming for the high score. I'm getting these sectors out there, um, and then I see which ones will line up. Sometimes I'll kind of have some idea, but your list it's vetted in a different way, and there's a list of things that are ready, that are going to be ready, whereas mine are they're filters I set up. I see what pops into it. I find a theme, and I post them, as a group. And so I'll have one that's like open's a good example. I loved open, but I didn't have anything else in real estate. So the way I do it, it wasn't really one I could throw in there, and that's where a lot of my last five comes from. But glad to see you had it. And then it lines up with me, and then off we go. But yeah, no, we have a entirely different method for locating stocks, and the maturity of those setups is typically um, going to be different. There are some that I've been at this long enough, and I have really solid levels to trade off of, and could list MSTR every week, up or down, but that's not what the hot list is. So that's just a different animal altogether. But I think you kind of pick up TA as you do
Sure,
this long enough,
sure.
and then I can find TA without, I mean, honestly, even looking at chart the way that these levels bracket, the pivots and all that, and it starts. You can see what they're trading around. Those moving averages, I don't look at those at all, but nevertheless, these option strikes line right up with it. So it's all the same stuff they're trading around.
I'm gonna start there. It's my goal to get P to take the weekly SMAs into it, um, in general, but just on an overall picture, I've been trying to get you that. But man, MSTR rejection of the 200. We've been there for
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a month and a half. I digress there. Open. Six, 465, 701. I mean, I just know charts. It is what it is. That's what I live off of. I mean, you have your system, like you said, and it's very filter orientated on your scanners and screeners. I scan through 500 charts with my brain every week, every single week, and I just can feel it, P. um, and that's just how it's always been for me, is just knowing the charts and knowing what they are, and that's really a big difference in what we do, because my list is a Picasso list every week. Um, but I'll tell you right now, the AI trades, those results are off share prices. They're not
Yeah.
off option prices, and I will not double down on that, but I'll put that in bold, because that's really what I'm looking for, is just a 10% move. That was the origin of it, a safe entry, maybe a long term entry. With a positive flow situation that's going to move this 25, 50, 100%. I mean, that's it. So, like, yeah, I look for the timing or the safety of areas to trade, and then I mean, I guess that doesn't get said, P. Uh, my worst case scenario is that we get 3 or 4 weeks down the road, it hasn't really moved from the price you bought it at, or you've been DCAing it, and you can still walk away. Versus holding a
Yeah.
bag, or being on your third option trade.
Right. Yeah. And I mean the option thing, like it's it's very hard to it's hard to hang around, because even the people who say, well, you just keep rolling it. Well, just I guess just to kind of give an example. So you buy an option contract for $175, and it pops to 350, and it's before 9:30 Central. So within that first hour, whatever. And you think there's more there, but the way that this typically works, that it's going to go mid candle on that small time frame typically, or thereabouts, and then it's is it going to consolidate for a minute, or go down? But even best case, it consolidates and goes back up. You're losing a ton of value on that drop, and then so then you roll it, and then it lingers and goes down some more, and so that $200 profit that you tried to cash out, you're eating into that. So you're losing 75 of that, and all of a sudden you're up $50 on the whole thing that was up, 250, 300. That's just greed. You can't do that. You just can't do it. Share side, you can you can hang around. Much easier to move in and out. Nobody's buying 10, 50, 100 those option contracts I mentioned. You're buying maybe three, five if you're a little aggressive, but you can't you can't move in and out of those. You have to take it off the table, and trading monthlies and that kind of thing, definitely can do that. The hedging you got to do, and all that. I mean, it's a much easier method to use the work to just go share side. And this is from a kind of option obsessed person. It's the key to everything that I do. But you don't really have to trade it that way. Like when I see people buying options on stocks under $20, I don't really say anything, but like I'm kind of thinking, why bother? I mean, why are you doing that? I mean, if it's not a leap, I don't see the point. And even with a leap, you know, just um, just buy shares. And if you're not feeling like you're not making enough money, get consistent, put your own money into it, and then you know um, trade from there and size accordingly. You'll just sleep better. You'll sleep better with mostly shares. So little little aside there, but I think everybody comes around to that eventually, who deals with options. The quick money is fun, but I don't you can't it's not you can't scale it up, because you don't have the resources the whales do that would actually do that. Because you're not going to have the when I get into Humana or UNH, I don't have like tens of thousands of shares backing up these option positions where you can really work the bid side, and the bid side's where it's at right now, and that's a hard side to actually trade. It's an important side to read, but no, you got to do something different if you're uh, the under six figure accounts for
Sure.
sure.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty diligent. My system doesn't change. I trade with 50 and don't trade options. But if I did, I would assume you have your main account, which you know hopefully that's a nice number. It's where you tuck stuff away, and then you have a little
Yep.
trading account. And for me, that's the 50, and hopefully you have something in there, 25 at least, so you don't have to fuck with PDT. I wouldn't go much over what I do, but to each their own. And then if you're gonna have an option account, you would think that'd be a little smaller. Um, but the elephant in the room though is you got to start with the other one first. You need that
Yeah.
your tuck away account is probably where you're starting first, and we totally offer that. So not that that's like a knock against what we do or anything. We find some really good entries on some really good names, and then go to swing trading, and even if you're starting off fresh, or you just don't like the swing, there's got to be some plays that make sense to you that you can just park $100, $500, $1,000 in, and take that percent in 4 to 6 months, and or in the lately, I'll tell you lately, it's stuff December, January. The, I go and look at the reads, and the option strikes are in the money, in like 2 months on a lot of stuff that wouldn't let up or that you wouldn't shut up about. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I mean, you get the
Yeah.
move and you say thank you, but the smaller you are, the more diligent you are with you are more diligent you need to be with the 10 and 25% in a short window is worth your time. Holding for big moves is something you want to do when you have more irons in the fire or more fucking money, I guess, so to speak, because you're putting so much time, equity into one thing panning out, and you really don't want to do that. So, yeah, quarters. Pay attention to your quarters and pay attention to your percentage. If you are still in the growing phase and not managing, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. And um, the getting those small accounts where they can sustain themselves and don't have to be reloaded, every paycheck or whatever.
I
I mean
couldn't
that
imagine.
you have to understand like that is what those kids are doing.
Oh, sure.
That and a guy will be like, I lost my net worth 8 times over, and like you said, it's like 4 grand or something.
Yeah,
But,
yeah,
but I mean, it's just you just kind of grow out of it. There's a reason their car insurance is more expensive. I mean, that's what I've said before, and so
and not to
you
get hella off topic, but the 17-year old, I guess senior, right? And she's looking for a prom date, and her I won't say her comment, but she wants to make sure the pictures are good. So she's talking about guys she likes, right, or how they look, right? And
yeah.
long story short, bro, hey, the she was a big hard no on the mop top, so it's fading away.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Right, right. Yeah, my son never went for that, so thankful for.
Yeah, and I mean he's similar age, I believe. So
Yeah, yeah, it's the exact same age. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, fading away. So there is hope in the world out there. We don't talk much about those guys because they're onto the personal stories over there. That's how bad. It's when the market's bad on Twitter is when they're just all personal stories and talking about God and stuff like that. You know what I mean? That's
Oh yeah, yeah,
it's fucking
yeah.
over. They
No.
just because they're content creators, they ain't got shit else to say. So for me, that's kind of why it was a bad week. I ain't gonna sit here and just blow smoke up your ass. And it was raining. I couldn't go golf, so I'm fucking just sitting here staring at a screen that's barely moving. Fucking
Yeah.
like watching loading on some video game back in the '90s.
Right, right.
um, yeah. So let's see if we get a little there. So I said 4 to 6. I still think we got 2 more weeks. Not to get into spy or anything, but that 660 is definitely being tested. I don't know where I heard that number before.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
But the downside, you've been preaching. The volume tells me now that we do have enough time and condition. I mean, to kind of wick to any number. Um, I still don't think it's going to last long term. You know, we talked about the stock market being the front yard of our country, so to speak. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I don't know what turns it on. Just mission accomplished in the Iran situation, or
Yeah.
or what.
Right.
But
Um. Yeah. This is a. I mean, yeah. Not to get too into the weeds on it, but I mean, there's a reason that even your most aggressive warhawk people didn't really pursue Iran. Like, it's a tough, not Iraq. It's a tougher deal. Um, and and so getting untangled from that is going to take a while and be kind of complex. And you have Israel deal, and but I mean, there are like benchmarks for it that certainly will be read as and interpreted as positive by the market. And then, with wars last longer than the market cares about it too. So um, the market kind of absorbs it and sort of gets over it and won't really, you know, move as much day to day. But there's some massive FUD when you start talking $100 oil, and then whenever it gets to $100 oil, they start talking $200 oil, and that, as much as I love to trade energy and oil, like that isn't great for a lot of stocks. And then you get big massive tech layoffs, and layoffs are they're kind of like they're bullish till they're not. That's so that kind of thing. I'm curious what's going to happen with Meta and all of that. So all of that to say that the flow picture that I talked about and that I identified weeks and weeks ago, and I'll start with SPY and then we'll get into the boring stuff because this transitions well. But that June 630, and it's like it needs a compliment, it needs something, and then here it is. I mean, it's 650, it's 645. Um, you know, for this week, those are gonna get you're gonna punt those to April, and and here we go. So that's been the one they're gonna work around, and now it's close enough that we can see how they're doing that. I kind of think like 645 is probably about it for the downside. I don't think it'll last very long, but that's kind of where we are. It's what I see. I think that would wash out enough people. It's given them enough time to reposition where they want to be, and that's how you get your Nvidia entry that doesn't seem that great really from where we used to talk about it, but is the best you're going to get. And there's going to be a lot of stocks like that. Netflix now, Nvidia, AMD, whoever, AVGO,
yeah, yeah.
where old pivots are never coming back, but you get the new paradigm, higher low, and then off we go.
Some of them B
I think,
names you get the good entries on though. I think
yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
like your Zillow and whatnot.
I mean, it's like, yeah, snow came all the
Snow.
way, it's come
Yep.
all the way back.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where CrowdStrike, you got your entry off of that.
Yep.
Real quick, big picture on the SPY. Just to kind of get it. Always zoom out for your mental. But this back here, this right here was COVID. And this was a GameStop sell off, mop top sell off, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
That's the worst for me because the longevity of it. This was tariffs, just as bad as COVID, and here we are with the current situation. So, I mean, for me, it's a minor speed bump. Um, I wouldn't say expected, but at some point in time, you don't fight it. So, um, looking for the turnaround in the flow for me, kind of let that lead the way, big picture, and then anything. I mean, everything doesn't turn around with SPY. We've learned that along the way. So picking off those
Yeah.
names as we go, and we've done a good job at that so far. Um, I'm looking forward to continue to doing that. And when you brought up Nvidia, I'm like, man, Nvidia is just going to catch that 50 on the daily eventually. I don't think you're going to get a great entry, but in 3 to 5 years when that thing's five, six, $700,
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like
the
the
175 is going
best
to
you're
be
going to get
great.
now doesn't seem that great.
Yeah,
But if especially if you're some investor, starting out, I remember I got kind of lucky. Um, for well, the first stocks I bought, so I was in grad school in the financial crisis, and I used Apple computers, and I'm like, I'll just buy that, and it ended up being great. But even that that entry, go back to Apple's early days, that was nothing compared to that. But everybody starts somewhere. You don't get to start at the beginnings of all these companies, so there's no point really even in thinking of those in those terms. But the core foundational companies of the market, you really can get in them anytime. It's just it pays to be a little selective about it. I don't buy Microsoft every day. There have been some times to really concentrate in it, and even the biggest of the big names are still gonna give you those opportunities. But like you said, I mean, if you want to study this closely and trade some things, those B names and SASP in particular, a lot of those are where the best percentage is going to be. You're not taking Microsoft 50% anytime soon, but you're probably taking Snow and MDB that much on this next move up.
perfect. Boring stuff, you say?
Yeah. All right. Get off the minute chart here. See where my mind is sometimes. Yeah. Copper. Quiet. The kind of long wicks on the day chart here. I mean, so kind of know what that means. Getting the sustained selling's been tricky, but yeah, you want it to park here for a while. For entries, some kind of another flash crash, sub five would be a big opportunity. It's just gonna kind of be it'd be hard to come by. If you read some of the news, I have some news to post on aluminum for a supply shortage. So that's gonna be the big thing. That these big, heavy, expensive stuff to move around, like steel and copper and all of that. It's got kind of two things going where shipping costs going up, but the whole logistics of the materials getting more complicated with the war and all of that. So there's going to be some pretty heavy volatility. Steel's still the best opportunity. Get through the earnings reports on those is the best thing that can happen because they're not going to be that good. But it's yeah, if you're thinking 6 months from now, I still like a lot of those names.
Yeah, good DCA spots. For me, the catalyst has always been focusing on the infrastructure of the America First idea, um, which just
Yes.
ain't. I mean, we've been putting out fires or however you want to see it, or paying attention to other stuff. I don't know, but that's gonna happen. I think at some point. I don't think we'll completely drop the ball on that. And when we do, copper and coal, really good setups for me.
Uh, yeah, and I think too the idea of so Republicans are likely going to get killed in the midterms. I mean, as of right now, we'll see when we get closer. But how the administration tries to mitigate that is important. And then if it does happen, there's plenty of sectors that have struggled and we'll come back up or whatever. But whoever's in charge, I think that the infrastructure, like domestic spending, is the cure for war fatigue. and I think that you are going to see that, and copper and steel are going to be
Hmm.
a big part of that. Whoever's in charge. So yeah, I'm with you that that's a good DCA opportunity. Um, Getting into silver pullback here. Said it before, when you made a move like it made, I can't tell you that 4% days used to be very rare in silver, but it's not when you get up in prices like this. So um, just have your little your trade list. You can day trade silver. You can do it a lot. So I mean that is a good spot to watch. I mean, especially and you get the big pullbacks. If you get a big pullback for 3 or 4 days, um, definitely. So anything under 80 is they're probably going to put up a fight. Um, Wick under 70 is probably not going to happen, but you certainly could get in the 74, 75 area. You line up your overlay your AGs of the world with this chart, and you'll kind of plain as day see what you can do with it.
Yeah, I like that 75 to settle. Um,
Yeah,
Definitely a good oversold spot right now, and then 100 share scalps on those charts. If you need to trade, that's where it's at.
yeah.
Um, yeah, a couple $100 on those ones. AG's really good.
Oh yeah, yeah. Um, Gold, you got um, the 5,000 psych and all that. I think to me, between 4,800 and 5,000 is going to be kind of an important spot to consolidate a bit. It's it's just it's the chart's kind of gone. I mean, it takes time up here, and I don't have as much in gold to mess around with, to be honest. But
Yeah, it ain't been mentioned, but I'm gonna do it. The Russia going back to the dollar or the stars, being able to trade on that star system or whatever it is, um,
yeah,
kind of didn't get reported as big as news as it was. Um, because for me, that's if you're gonna come up with a BRICS or any other currency, you need to back it with something. So it's who controls the gold, who controls the oil. Um,
yeah,
with that kind of deflating a little bit there, I think gold, not settles, but comes back to reality a little bit, and maybe we live 46 to 5 for a while, but five is a huge flip. So watching that for a couple weeks. Um, if it comes resistance, though, I expect it to drop down 10% from here.
yeah.
We'll see, though. We'll see.
All right. So then, natural gas still, still big opportunity here. It's being held down a bit. The story here is not really going to relate to the the war or anything like that. I mean, there's just a bigger picture move that 5 to 7 reality that I think will set in. Combo names are kind of where it's at, and the story's the same there.
Yeah, I love the sector. There's more moving parts currently in it than most things. So,
Yeah.
a lot of irons in the fire with natural gas.
And then oil. I mean, I just you had your shot. I think overall, um, the that 120 area obviously is significant from the last go around. So we're just gonna kind of mess around with that. Big range here. I mean, yeah, I think mid 80s to 110 and wicks beyond are kind of where you're at. So there are going to be some oil stocks, some energy stocks that definitely you can get into. Anything with equipment and exploration and offshore, uh, cutting the red tape to get domestic production up, like all that stuff's gonna stay out there. And I think I mean, that said, the corners of energy that get ignored that you should focus on too are coal and uranium, and there's I don't have the coal futures. The futures don't really matter that much for coal, but uranium definitely. I've liked it parking here for a while, and I think you could definitely see a move back up 92, 95 area when they work out their backroom deals on futures here. But yeah, a lot of energy. Energy is still the big thing, and I think that like we always do, you got to tackle that from several different angles.
Oil's the best. I mean, I've just recently come to realize this, and took me a while, but oil's the best learning landscape, especially for what we kind of do, because you're not going to get like a 25% move in oil on the day in any chart. Like even a small just doesn't really move like that, but you'll get that 25% on the month, especially in good conditions on those smalls. And um, yeah, oil is something everyone should have a piece of, just because of that. It'll show you that the time is your friend, so to speak. Uranium's going to be real hard for me to tell people to trade. I mean, I told the Palm Springs people, so I guess I could tell other people. But to trade that SGML off of 10, because I mean, I got a 5 or better. So I still think those are great. The other names are just so overextended. Um, Not a lot to play in, and then oil smalls probably best opportunity. Um, Even if you're not in the lows on the rig or whatever. Still a lot of room once we flip that 660 for me. So, but that kind of feeds back into that, you know, production or infrastructure trade, so to speak, which the market is yearning for in these sectors. Um, I think so.
Yes.
We're not that we're early, but a lot of meat left on the bone, and not to go too long here, but I think we're gonna get better at that this year. Is knowing that, yeah, sure, we found this shit at a dollar or two, and yeah, it's $6 now, but it's going to 24, and
Yes.
we're gonna get better at that this year. Because that's the negative of being early, is that 1 to 6 move or 2 to 6 move. You don't really want to touch it now. What up, Rig?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Definitely. All right. So then to the 10 year per
Yeah,
minute.
man, we had a violent week there.
Yeah. 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 So surging and the kind of thing I say like you don't want to see that much. Yeah, you want this to calm down a bit, pull back, and all that. But yeah, could 4 or 5 if the violence wants to continue. Um, seeing that, I would expect it to at least pull back a little before that happens. But who knows? The futures open will kind of be the opening salvo, and we'll see. But yeah, keep an eye on this for sure.
Shit, I don't know how you feel, but I said it on Friday. They're setting us up just to make Monday look like death.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I definitely think that's definitely possible that you get your Nasdaq, down 1% open or something like that.
I mean, we'll retrace. We did it. We've done it a few times. We'll retrace half of it, 3/4 of it Monday for sure. But
Yeah,
they're just setting us up to make it look like this, just to make people again panic, or to create some sort of urgency, and to get people to make moves. Um, just where my head's at.
yeah, and definitely, and I think you can just weather all that if you, as long as you're not leveraged. I mean, it's not gonna last, but
Yeah,
definitely,
the saying secondary trades are better. If you know what that means, if you're in the room, just
yeah,
ask. But if you know how to trade that, that's all you got to do, man. Pre market low, pre market high, 1 hour in. Let me know.
yep, yep. Um, China, real quick.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that. I didn't want to bring it in here, like in the way I was
Yeah,
going to, but
so
it's on deck. It seems like for both of us, and just how that makes sense with the story part. I mean, the charts are great. So how does that make sense with the story? That's what I was gonna ask.
yes, and I think that it wouldn't be the first time that a rally in Chinese stocks came before. the U.S. stocks come around. And given the pullback that it had, Hang Seng's the one I look at. Like it's got a they've got a nice runway on a lot of that stuff, and a lot of them are through earnings, and so e-commerce and tech, and then your shitty outlier education stocks and stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot of flow setups there. EV too. I mean the way that China could get into the EV market and Europe and Canada and et cetera.
Yeah.
There's a lot there. So a lot of news to pump some things too.
Yeah, lots of levels over there. I kind of throw a jab once a month. I mean, obviously this week I got a couple, but just finding the reason for me. Um,
Yeah.
if you do like evaluations, if you're a fundamental person, they are shut up and buy, but geopolitically, I don't think they're ever shut up and buys. Um, Even Baba, when we were talking about in the '80s, I still think that was like, be careful here, just in case this whole basket gets delisted. Um, you know,
Yeah.
in a
Because that you have to understand what an ADR is. You don't really own the stock. You own a fake placeholder thing that they could just zero out. So
Yeah, both, and well, in that case, they're the one country that I think both sides could do it, or could push that.
yes. Oh
Where
yeah.
in most cases, like Nigeria is not coming and saying, "Hey, we're taking JMIA with us." Sorry,
Right. Right.
it's just not going to happen. But China, they could just say, "Hey, you guys can't participate in the U.S. market anymore." And it's totally possible.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not there. We were there for a while, but uh, just looking for a reason for those to go. And the charts are ready. If not, I just don't like trading those for a percent. I don't know how you feel about that, but that's not the. I'd rather trade. I'd rather trade the Bitcoin names for a percent.
Oh yeah. It is one of those where my phrase, like, I'm not after nickels and dimes.
Yeah,
That is relevant there. So
yeah,
you know, I've never had a 5% win on GoTo. I'll say
yeah,
that. Like,
yeah. You don't get your threesome from the strip club because you could get burnt. You go to the frat house.
yeah, yeah. There you go.
That's an old professor analogy right there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you get burned at that strip club. God damn it! All right. Um,
yeah.
I mean, jobs still get done, but I digress. Um,
Yeah.
Bitcoin dollar. You got anything else before we go?
Yeah, yeah. So the dollar surging too. When this is violent to the upside with the 10-year, you're go golf. If it's raining,
Fuck.
I don't know. You're out of luck. But yeah, the uh, this needs to cool off a bit. Hopefully, hitting some resistance here, and we'll kind of go from there. You kind of just see the rough TA on it. Not that you really run TA on this thing, but yeah, you'd like to see this uh, calm down a bit, or if it's going to go up, to 104, get it over with. Um, that'd be good too. I mean, if and that's the thing. I mean, with the downside, like, enough of this slow bleed out crap. Like,
Yeah,
let's go ahead and wick down
please.
and get it over with, and so this can do that too in the other direction, and so that's kind of what you look for as well. Bitcoin, I mean, it's funny that it seems like it had a really good week. You zoom out and it's like, ah, well, shit. I mean, until you kind of reclaim 80, and the flow is clearly thinking 100K plus. This still isn't that great to me, but there are trades there.
Yeah, just find an equal 72. I mean, run the tape back in
Yeah.
January or 2022, whenever, but 72 has always been a level. So it finding equilibrium here, not a bad thing for it. And then, like you said, yeah, you got to start having the 72 to, yeah, 80 would be great. 72, 78 pressure that way. With the news, with the flow, whatever. But some of those charts are in good spots to take percentages if you know them. We got back on Mara at a perfect time. 7.5 to 10 is not a bad trade. It's done twice. Um, so yeah, you just kind of know where you're at, and this is probably what we just said with SPY, what we wanted to happen. This is kind of the situation. You got your flush, and we're grinding back up here. So maybe
So,
a little bit ahead of the market currently. Um,
so way back when we were talking, and I was pushing 132 as possible, and you're saying no, and you were right. But back then, I mean, we're both agreed that like top wherever it is, and I didn't have 200, 250, whatever. I had 132. It wicked over 125 and then died, so not that far off. But anyway, we both agreed then like this chart's gonna drop 50%.
yeah.
It's
Oh,
just what it
100%.
does. And so we pretty much, we got that, and then you just want it to, like you said, find that equilibrium, build build some support. Um, Best thing to happen, or that can happen from our perspective, because we don't really trade the coin, is for this to, you know, middle around here for a while, and then the coins of the world, MSTRs of the world, they build something, and then the smalls, and there's going to be your outlier smalls that like pretty clearly the best one that nobody really talks about. It was Bitdeer on the last run, and it's probably Bit Farm this time. I'll throw that out for people, the freebie. But so you find those, and then Mara's there all day, is always there, and then the data center ones are kind of in their own category. So very exciting space to look at. I always like it, and I, I'm always involved in it. It's in my notes constantly. But once it lines up for all of us, then you can really, really get serious about it.
Yeah, Bitcoin. I mean, I lean on the commodity price probably more than I should. The flow rates, but the yeah, follow along. I'll just say that so we don't get too long winded on Bitcoin. Follow
Yeah,
along.
and I don't think Link's ever going to be a real believer in it, but believe in the chart.
I made plenty of money off of Bitcoin trades, thesis trades that I don't have to worry about the coin. Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and if it pans out someday, I'll be first in on the American Eagle, bald eagle, gold coin.
yeah.
The
Yep, yep.
the the Rubio Ruby. Sorry.
Right, sure.
You ready to get to work, P?
Yeah, yeah. Let's do it. I'll grab a coffee refill and then we'll get at it.
Perfect. Like and subscribe. Link somewhere, people.